In the 1970s in Ohio, Huffy made a decision that would turn empty lots across America into wild BMX battlegrounds. Not for the elite, but for every kid with a dream and a few dollars. Before Redline or GT became legends, Huffy bikes put BMX into millions of hands and living rooms. But how did an old-school manufacturer from Dayton revolutionize an entire sport? And what price did they pay for giving BMX to everyone? That answer starts long before the first dust cloud ever rose on a neighborhood track. In Dayton, Ohio, the bicycle business was already part of daily life long before BMX tracks and dirt jumps. Back in 1892, George P. Huffman bought the Davis Sewing Machine Company and began turning out bicycles under the Dayton name. By the turn of the century, the city's factories were humming, and Huffy had become the largest bicycle producer in the United States. For decades, the company's story was one of steady production, cruisers, kids' bikes, and every model in between shipped out to families across the country. But the world was changing fast. By 1970, the company reorganized as Huffy Corporation, building a structure designed for growth. That same year, Huffy acquired Yorba Linda Cycle Enterprises, a Southern California assembler, and transformed it into a national service company. This move wasn't just about making more bikes. It was about building the muscle to serve the country's biggest retailers: Kmart, Sears, Target, and Walmart. Huffy could now deliver massive orders coast to coast, a logistical feat few competitors could match. A former staffer remembers the sense of scale. They would see truckloads rolling out day and night, headed for stores everywhere. There was a feeling that they were part of something bigger than just a local factory. This foundation, deep manufacturing roots, a willingness to adapt, and a new national reach set the stage for what came next. When American kids started looking for bikes that could handle dirt tracks and jumps, Huffy was already in position. Their ability to scale up production and get bikes onto sales floors in every corner of the country would become their secret weapon in the BMX boom. Huffy's ability to deliver on a national scale wasn't just about making bikes in Ohio. By 1970, the company had acquired Yorba Linda Cycle Enterprises in Southern California and transformed it into a national service company dedicated to assembling bicycles for the country's largest retailers. This move created a backbone for mass distribution, connecting Huffy's manufacturing strength with the growing demand from chains like Sears, Kmart, Target, and Walmart. Instead of relying on local bike shops or regional distributors, Huffy built an infrastructure that could answer the call for tens of thousands of bikes at a time, delivered coast to coast, ready for the sales floor. The Yorba Linda Cycle Enterprises network became a silent engine behind the scenes, focused on getting bikes assembled quickly and efficiently, wherever the orders came from. Every detail, from box design to assembly instructions, was streamlined to fit the needs of big retailers. Minimal setup, reliable packaging, and quick turnaround. This approach wasn't just about speed, it was about making sure families could afford a new bike for their kids, without worrying about specialty shop prices. Huffy targeted the youth segment directly, offering accessible options that fit the realities of most American budgets. By the time BMX fever swept across the country, Huffy's distribution system was already in place. The company could fill massive orders and keep shelves stocked in every region, making it possible for millions of kids to find a Huffy BMX within reach of their local department store. By the mid-1970s, Huffy's product lineup was tailored for a new kind of customer, kids who saw motocross on TV and wanted that same thrill on two wheels. The company's signature models, like the Thunder Trail, Pro Thunder, and Lightning, all hit the market within a few years. Each was built with a steel frame, high-rise handlebars, and bold, racing-inspired decals. Knobby tires and number plates added to the motocross look, making these bikes stand out in department store aisles across the country. Numbers tell the story. In 1977, Huffy reached the top of the U.S. bicycle market, recording $130 million in sales, a 21% jump from the year before. The Thunder Trail alone was so popular that it pulled the company out of a recession slump and brought back workers who had been laid off. Mass retailers like Sears, Kmart, and Target became Huffy's primary outlets, giving the brand unmatched reach. Unlike boutique BMX makers, Huffy could fill orders for tens of thousands of bikes at a time, shipping them to stores in every region. Marketing was relentless and focused on young riders. TV ads ran during Saturday morning cartoons, and catalogs featured kids launching off curbs and dirt mounds. The message was clear: BMX was for everyone, not just racers or kids with access to specialty shops. Huffy's approach, affordable pricing, eye-catching designs, and mass distribution transformed BMX from a niche sport into a mainstream childhood experience. For millions, the first taste of BMX came from a Huffy on a department store sales floor. On summer afternoons, the vacant lot at the end of the block became a proving ground. Kids dragged shovels from garages, carving out jumps and berms in the loose dirt, turning scraps of plywood and cinder blocks into makeshift ramps. The bikes that lined up at the starting line were nearly all the same: Pro Thunder, Lightning, Thunder Trail, bright decals flashing, steel frames heavy but dependable. A Gen X rider named Mike remembers his first race on a Huffy. He remembers his dad bought it at Kmart. It was blue with yellow pads, and he thought it looked just like the ones in the catalog. The first time he hit a jump, the front rim bent. But he didn't care. He just kept riding. Neighborhood races weren't about trophies or official timing. The prize was bragging rights and sometimes a scraped knee or a bent wheel. Kids rode until the streetlights flickered on, circling the same dirt track again and again. For many, that Huffy wasn't just a bike, it was freedom, a ticket to every empty lot and patch of grass in town. The sound of knobby tires crunching over gravel, the sting of dust in your eyes, and the clatter of a dropped chain became part of the summer soundtrack. Even if the bikes were heavier than the ones the older kids rode at the real BMX tracks. Nobody cared at first. What mattered was having a bike that could survive a crash and get you back in the race. For most, a Huffy was the first taste of what it meant to ride before anyone thought about lighter frames or pro-level parts. The memories stick. The first jump, the first wipeout, the first time you beat your best friend around the lot. By the late 1970s, the BMX world was changing fast. Riders who wanted to go faster and jump higher started looking for something lighter and stronger than the heavy steel frames found on most department store bikes. Chromoly, a chrome molybdenum steel alloy, became the new standard for serious racers. Brands like Redline and GT led the way, offering frames that weighed nearly half as much as Huffy's high-10 steel models. The difference was clear on the track. Chromoly frames could take more punishment, flexed less on landings, and let riders accelerate out of the gate with less effort. As one BMX historian puts it, the Chromoly revolution wasn't just about weight, it was about performance. Kids who wanted to win races switched to Redline or GT, and suddenly Huffy was out of the running for the podium. The technical leap left Huffy's steel bikes behind, and the brand's role in competitive BMX began to fade. Huffy's retreat from BMX became impossible to ignore by the late 1990s. The Salina, Ohio plant, once a symbol of the company's reach, shut its doors in 1998, leaving nearly 1,000 workers without jobs. Huffy's focus narrowed to kids' bikes and mass-market models, pulling further from the sport that had fueled its rise. The company made a brief attempt to revive its BMX line in the late 1990s, but the bikes could not compete with the lighter specialty brands dominating the tracks. Even so, the story did not end there. Across swap meets and online forums, vintage Huffy BMX models found new life. Restorers and collectors began hunting down Pro Thunders and Thunder Trails, drawn by memories of childhood summers and the thrill of a first ride. As one restorer puts it, you can't talk about BMX without talking about Huffy. For a lot of us, that's where it all started. Today, vintage Huffy BMX bikes resurface in garages and online auctions, reminding us that access, not exclusivity, built a generation of riders. As cycling costs rise, the story of Huffy challenges us. Who gets to join the next movement? Sometimes history's real legacy is who gets to play. Share your memories below.